Time now for our 360 round, taking a look at Microsoft off the back of its quarterly results. For that, I want to bring in our panel. We've got Joseph Shaposhnik, founder and CEO of Rainwater Equity, and Ken Mahoney, CEO of Mahoney Asset Management. Thank you both for joining us. All right, let's dive into this. So Microsoft beat expectations on so many metrics. EPS came in at $3.65, revenue topped $76 billion, cloud revenue jumped 27%. Microsoft really firing on all cylinders. Ken, let me go to you first. What's your initial reaction?
It's unbelievable amount of execution. Look, investors always like this story because you have all the different verticals in their business, right? For cloud, which is crushing it, Windows this, Windows that, Teams this, gaming and so forth. But it is quite amazing. Now what you're seeing though, because there's such a big beat and a huge raise of guidance, analysts this morning are tripping over themselves, raising from buy to strong buyer, buy to the best buy ever. And, 480 targets to 580 targets. I think I saw one today, 680 to 700. So there's still a lot of excitement here. They definitely are the go-to. And it's a good way to play, I think, the AI, because every one of those niches that they have, every one, the cloud and so forth, the glue behind it is this AI. And we're in the third or fourth inning. So it's exciting for Microsoft investors today for sure. And going forward, expect more analysts and more analyst upgrades.
Okay, Joseph, what's your take on its latest results?
Diane, the most interesting thing is that Microsoft is the best performer, aside from NVIDIA, among the Mag 7 that have reported. It's the only company that has delivered double-digit revenue, earnings, and free cash flow growth across all of the Mag 7s that have reported so far. So it has been the one to own, and obviously these results were outstanding, double-digit growth across revenue, free cash flow, and earnings. And what's also interesting is as they're growing this quickly, 17% top-line growth, which is phenomenal, they've guided to CapEx growth moderation next year, which implies that free cash flow can grow even faster than it did this year, and it implies better returns on capital going forward, despite the fact that they're investing so aggressively behind cloud. So I think this quarter obviously was outstanding. Next year looks really good, which is why the stock's reacting the way it is.
Ken, I want to go back to the point you made earlier about all the adjustments we're seeing on the sell side, buy to the best buy ever. That gives me a chuckle. So when you think about where it is now, I mean, it's now entered the $4 trillion market cap club, which is now a club of two. How much more room to run is there, or do we start to worry about entering into price to perfection territory?
I don't think so. The forward PE is still below 40. And, if you kind of look at what they're doing here, I mean, they are just crushing it. I mean, they already have this great base, over 1 billion users, and now they're adding AI. If you think like, let's say, Monopoly game, right, the board game, and the prize possession there is Boardwalk and Park Place, and they continue to collect. Well, think of that in AI terms of Microsoft and NVIDIA, the two players that are driving this. And you always hear the criticism, the law of big numbers, right, Diane? The law of big numbers, they can't do this. Actually, the law of big numbers helps them, because the law of big numbers is they have a lot of customers that can continue to offer more services and products and charge an extra fee for that. So I don't think the law of big numbers impacts them the way most people think. I think it's in a positive way. So they're definitely the Boardwalk and Park Place of our generation.
I like that analogy that Ken just gave, Joseph. So I'm curious to know your thoughts. Everyone does want Park Place and Boardwalk. So when you think about Microsoft and it potentially being best in class, do you think that the growth, this across the board growth, is sustainable?
I do believe it is sustainable. And I think what's bullish about the Microsoft story is that they're not just growing pricing with add-ons like Copilot. So obviously, when somebody subscribes and adds Copilot, that adds ARPU to revenues for that particular user. But what you're seeing is that they're growing Excel users, they're growing Office 365 users at a high single-digit rate, which is really impressive for a company that is already at scale with massive market share across most of its markets. It's still growing units while it's growing its ARPU as well. So I think there is room to run. As Tim said, the multiple is not particularly inexpensive, but for a company that is growing this quickly while delivering better margins, high revenue growth, high EPS growth, and free cash flow growth while it's investing this aggressively, it appears as though this business continues to be very well positioned for a good period ahead of us.
Yeah, different year Microsoft is having this year compared to last year. It's an outperformer within the Mag 7. Thank you, guys. That's Joseph Shaposhnik of Rainwater Equity and Ken Mahoney of Mahoney Asset Management. I appreciate your time in the breakdown on Microsoft's latest results.